Hi everyone and welcome to Miss Temple's apartment. Yay! So today is week 5 and we are going to start our learning about Frida Kahlo. Frida was an artist from Mexico. She had a really rough life, but her artwork sometimes would depict that or show that in her artwork. But a lot of the times her work was mostly self-portraiture, and there were tons of animals and fun things that she would hide in her pictures. So we are going to start today by reading a book called Frida Kahlo and Her Animalitos. And this is by Monica Brown, illustrated by John Para. This is the story of a little girl named Frida who grew up to be one of the most famous painters of all time. Frida was special. This is also the story of 2 monkeys, a parrot, 3 dogs, 2 turkeys, an eagle, a black cat, and a fawn. They were Frida's pets, and they were also special. Frida had a parrot named Bonito. Like her parrot, Frida was colorful. She liked to wear bold shapes that celebrated indigenous Mexico and her own heritage. She lived in the house, the color of the parrot's bright blue feathers, La Casa Azul, where she grew up with her mom, dad, and sisters. Frida had a pet fawn named Granizo. Like her fawn, Frida had watchful, beautiful eyes. When Frida closed her eyes, she remembered her life as a little girl. Frida was always with her father, a photographer who taught her to look at the world through curious eyes. Frida and her father would walk to the park to collect bugs to look at under a microscope. Frida's father also taught her how to paint finishing touches on her photographs. Frida loved the small brushes and the beautiful colors. Frida had a cat with black, shiny fur, the same color as her long, dark hair. Like her cat, Frida was playful, but as a child, Frida couldn't always play. When Frida was 6, she got very sick. She was in bed for a long time, but little Frida didn't get sad or bored. Instead, she used her breath to make mist on her window, and when she drew a door on her with her finger. Frida used her big imagination and curious eyes to walk out that door with a magic friend, a little girl who danced and played like a kitten. Frida was independent like a cat. Frida's sickness left one of her legs different from the other, and children made fun of her. But this didn't stop Frida from skating and riding bikes and rowing on the lakes of Chapultepec Park, so that her leg could get stronger. Frida was not afraid to do things other little girls didn't usually do. She wore overalls and boxed and wrestled. Frida had 2 spider monkeys, Falang Chang and Ciamento del Gualabao. Like her monkeys, Frida could be mischievous, even when she was a teenager. When Frida was 15, she went to a school called the Preparatoria and found a group of friends she loved. Like Frida, her friends were curious and to learn all they could. Together, they read and studied and argued and sometimes got in trouble. Wearing matching caps, they rode donkeys through halls in the Preparita and set firecrackers. Frida had an eagle named Gratuitous. Like her eagle, Frida's imagination could fly high. When Frida was 18, she was in a terrible accident, and once again she had to be in bed for many months. This time, Frida didn't create a magic friend. She created art. Frida's mother made her a special easel and hung a mirror over her canopy bed for Frida to paint. Frida used her imagination and curious eyes to do just that. Feet, what do I need you for when I have wings to fly? And if there weren't enough pets, Frida had 2 turkeys and 3 dogs, Senor Zelato, Senorita Capolina and Senora Costi. Frida's turkeys were excellent and intelligent and sensitive, like herself. And like Frida, her dogs were warm and loving. When she was lonely and sad, she would wrap her arms around them and they would comfort her. Her Zolo dogs were the same breed that ran and hunted with the Aztecs thousands of years ago, and a reflection of Frida's heritage, of which she was very proud. Frida's dogs had no hair, but their bodies were warm, and Frida gave them great big hugs whenever she felt lonely or sad. Frida's animalitos were spirited and entertaining just like Frida. When her two spider monkeys were being good, Frida would hold them like babies. When they were being mischievous, they would steal socks and fruit and leap through windows so no one could catch them. Her parrot named Bonito liked to snuggle under the covers while Frida took naps and would do tricks at the dinner table for pats of butter. Frida's animalitos played all day in the courtyard at La Casa Azul, the bright blue house on Landres Street. Her husband, Diego Rivera, even made the animals a pyramid to climb on so that her pets could roam freely. When Frida painted, her pets would keep her company. And Frida painted all the time, while the birds sang, the dogs barked, and the turkeys danced in the garden. Frida's animals were her children, her friends, and her inspiration. Frida painted when she was sick and hurting, and Frida painted when she was happy. She also painted when Diego was gone, and she was very sad. But Frida was never alone at the Casa Azul and the bright blue house on Landres Street. She had her animalitos and herself, and she painted both. Frida painted herself with Fulang Chang playing with ribbons. She painted herself with Bonito the parrot and Senor Zelotl and the dog. She painted her black cat too, peeking over her shoulder. Frida painted herself with all her pets she loved so much, and even butterflies and caterpillars. Her paintings were magic. And today, if you visit La Casa Azul in Coyoacan, just outside of Mexico City, you might hear the sound of a bird or see a black cat jump from the pyramid that sits in the courtyard of the bright blue house on Landres Street, where Frida and her animalitos lived so many years ago. And this is a picture of Frida Kahlo with all of her things, with her monkeys. Okay, what a lovely story that was. So here's what we're going to do. Today, we are going to be making a picture inspired by Frida Kahlo. You're going to need a printout picture of you. So from a printer or a picture that somebody took of you. You're going to need some crayons, or I used gel crayons if you would like to use those, a Sharpie marker, and a white piece of paper. I'm going to get myself. Can't wait to see what we make. See you in a sec. Okay, so I'm all set up. I have some scissors, a pencil. I have two different kinds of markers. I have a kind of thinner one, and then I have one that's even thinner than that. And I have printed out a picture of my face that we're going to put in the middle. You can either choose to print out a picture, or you can draw your own self-portrait, just like Frida Kahlo did. But I decided that for time's sake, I am going to just print my picture, and I'm going to cut it out. So we'll start with that. Now, it's okay that it's not the whole picture. That's okay. I'm going to cut this little bit off right here. Okay, throw that away. Don't keep it out. Don't want any trash. Okay, so I'm going to take a glue stick, and I'm going to paste this right on the bottom of my paper. Remember, you really don't need a lot of glue. And if it like starts to go over the edges, that means that you're using too much, so, or pressing too hard. So I'm gonna put that right there in the middle. Okay, I'm gonna cap my glue. So now, Frida Kahlo loved animals, as we learned in Frida Kahlo and her Animalitos. And so I've decided that I'm gonna do 3 of my favorite animals on the side of my picture, along with leaves and tons of different kinds of maybe fruits and things that I love. That's what she was known for. Frida Kahlo painted pictures with beautiful backgrounds and tons of detail. So I'm gonna do that with this. So the first thing that I love are dogs. So I'm gonna make a little, I'm gonna start with like a rainbow shape that's on the side. So that's how I'm gonna make my animals. So I'm gonna do 3 of those because that's, and we can even go in just a little bit here. Oop. And cut just a little bit so it looks like the animal is overlapping me. Okay. And then I'm gonna do one more, and I'm gonna do it coming from here. Okay, so I've mapped out what I'm doing. I might make this one a little bit bigger. Okay, so I'm gonna start with my dog. So I have a dog who has fluffy ears and a really big nose. It doesn't have to be a realistic dog, but it could be just something fun. He's got a little like this. His face is kind of fluffy, and he's got long, fluffy ears. This is my doggy, Leonardo da Vinci. Named after another great artist. You can give him, we'll give him a collar. We'll put his paw right here. Okay. So there is my first animal for my Animalitos. Next up, I really like sloth. So I am going to draw a picture of a sloth in the background. Here we go. They kind of have these like weird eyeballs that go like this. And you can make the rest of their bodies. I'm just gonna kind of go like this and make it so he's climbing. Then he's got a nose here and his 2 little eyeballs, and he smiles from ear to ear. Sloths are so weird. Yeah. Okay. And we'll make him have a branch, but we'll add more of that in later. Okay, and the last thing that I really like are birds. So I'm gonna put a bird's head here. Maybe I'll make it a peacock. So this comes from here actually. And then it's kind of like this. Okay, I'm feeling pretty good about this. I'm gonna add some leaves. Notice how I'm making just the V's. You don't really need to put that much in there to give it a lot of detail. So I'm making these like curved V shapes. And if you want to add fruits and stuff, you can. I'm gonna leave it at this, I think. I'm gonna add a few more here. Okay. And so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over all of my lines with one of these permanent markers that I have here. And then I'm gonna actually use a new material that I've never used before. It's called Color Slicks, and they're from Crayola. I'm sorry, they're called Slick Sticks. So I have all these colors, and they're kind of like crayons, but made out of gel. I'm super pumped about them. So we'll try those out today. But I'm gonna go over the lines, and I'm gonna speed it up so that you don't have to watch me. But I'm excited to see what we're gonna make. See you in a sec. So these are super cool. They have a very like wet texture. That's the only way that I can describe it. They move really nicely on top of the paper. I'm gonna see what happens when I draw lighter and then mix the colors together. Let's see what happens. I will say that I do not feel like I'm using a lot of the product. It does feel like it's really not wasteful. Very interesting. I like the way they feel. They're almost like tempera sticks, but they're called gel crayons. Okay, so I am putting my color slick sticks away, and this is my version of what Frida Kahlo would make. I decided that while I was doing this, if you're having trouble drawing the animals, you can choose whatever animals you want, but you can also print them just like you printed your face. And I would have no problem with that. And I think it might look actually super nice. I hope you had a good time. You can send these to me at htemple@schools.nyc.gov. You can tag me on Instagram at Miss Temple's Apartment, or you can just dojo them to me. I can't wait to see what you make, and I hope you had a good time. See you later.